Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. we are going to be talking to Shanna Clark. She is a Subto student, a realtor, an investor. She should be hopping on here any minute. For anyone that's a part of the Project Forward challenge program, whatever you want to call it, with Pace Morby, he has challenged everyone to start a podcast and start interviewing people. So I've already been doing, the Taking Imperfect Action every Wednesday, and that's mostly been Q&A and live calls. So I think I'm going to start doing it where every other week I'm doing the Q&A and live calls, and then every other week I'll be doing an interview of someone in real estate, and just kind of switching it up. So Shanna gets to be my first interview. I'm super excited. Thank you to everyone that is joining us today. If you are also doing Project Forward, I would love for you to put a comment in the chat. Let me know if you are. Let me know how that's going for you so far. I'm going to make sure Shanna's not having trouble with the link. Is anyone else doing Project Forward, or does anyone else have a podcast that they currently do? I think I've been listening to podcasts for so long. I think they're so fun, just listening to conversations, learning more about people, especially in the real estate industry. There's so many cool stories, so many people from different various backgrounds. I think it's a lot of fun and very knowledgeable to listen to everybody. I'm seeing if Shanna's having trouble with the link. Also, if you'd like to come on here and get interviewed, or come on one of the days where I'm doing live calls, make a comment or DM me on Instagram. I would love to connect. Also, if you guys have questions for Shanna at the end, maybe I'll leave a little room for other questions besides the ones that I have lined up.
How are you?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hold on a second. My screen looks kind of dark.
It does look dark.
Yeah. I'm like wondering why that is. I was just on a Zoom and it was great. So, let me look at settings here. Because what I've been doing is I've just been doing like Zoom meetings and then uploading those. So hold on, I'm looking at the settings. Wait a minute. Let's try this. Is that any better? I have a whole bunch of lights on and the windows open with sunshine and everything. I
It
don't know.
still looks the same. That is weird. It looks like almost like a film is over it.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just in a Zoom and it was fine. So weird.
Huh.
Okay. So, how are you? Are we on YouTube yet or no?
Yes, we are live on YouTube. So I was kind of just telling everyone what we're doing. I was talking about Project Forward a little bit. So we'll just start off. Just tell us a little bit about you, how long you've been in real estate, your experience thus far.
Yeah. So, thanks for sending me your questions. And I went ahead and, had time to think about some really good stuff to tell you. So I am an agent in Maryland. I've been in real estate about 5 years. And I've been in Subto for 3 months. So how I kind of started the transition into the investor side of things was, first of all, let me backtrack a little bit before that. During the shutdown, I had like this major, I think a lot of people went through this. Like everybody just just was shaken. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it just really opened our eyes to a lot of things. And I was no exception. And so I was kind of on the fence about everything, real estate and everything. I'm like, oh my gosh, like what is going on? Something weird is happening. So, I was on a team, a really good team, a really prominent team who taught me everything I knew. So what they say is true. They don't really teach you how to be a realtor in real estate school. You're a realtor too, you got to learn in the field. So, I get out in the field and I'm like, I think I started with Coldwell Banker, and they just throw you a bunch of stuff and they're like, okay, here you go. And I'm like, wait a minute, wait, what?
What am I doing?
I have that kinetic learning style. You got to tell me, show me, and then walk me through it. And then I got it,
Yeah.
Anyway, and then somebody came to me and they're like, look, I think what you need is to join a team. They'll train you, and that's really how you learn and get started. So I was on a really good team, and then the shutdown happened, and you're like, like what's going on? So I'm a big Google person. My son works at Google. I'm like a big Google person. So I'll use Google to solve an argument, I'm like, oh yeah, let's ask Google,
Yeah.
But I was Googling something about real estate, and I went on YouTube University to try to find something out about real estate, and Pace popped up. And I was like, oh, let me listen to him, So I was listening to him, and just like light bulbs were going off left and right. And I was like, where I was on the fence because of the shutdown, I was like, oh, I felt like little baby Yoda. This is the way. I was like, this is the way. This is how we make a difference and a positive change by, helping not only ourselves, we're not just helping people buy or sell real estate that's ready. We can like do so many things with this.
Exactly.
So I went down the rabbit hole and I was like, yeah, I totally should join this. Before I even joined Subto, I had the idea to start a podcast. And so I had started looking into all that. So when this Project Forward thing came up, I was like, is he on the same energy stream as I am? Like, what's going on here? So, so I'm actually, learning this whole process, and I had already started to, delve into YouTube and all that stuff. So I'm actually kind of going to be doing two. I'm starting out with this Subto one, but I had already started to put, the Gen X files together. So I'll kind of be doing two
different podcasts.
Yeah, 2 different podcasts and YouTube channels. So
We have a question.
that's how I got into Subto. Yeah.
Someone's asking you a question in the chat.
Oh, okay. Does buying Subto in Maryland trigger state transfer tax and county recordation? I do not believe that it does. Actually, that's a really good question because, you know what? Dana, can you get Dana's like information so that we can get the answer to that question?
Yeah. I actually talk to Dana all the time, so I can swap y'all's phone numbers and we can.
Perfect. That's a really good question. Really, really, really good question. Mm-hmm. I want to lean towards, I don't think so. And I guess it depends if you're going to do an executory contract or, once you record it, there's the recordation tax and stuff like that. But usually that's like something that the title company kind of works out. So I feel like that would be like a title company could totally answer that.
Yeah.
Because, not everybody sits there and goes through all of the closing costs, but all that kind of stuff is all in there. So I would venture to say it's probably worked into the closing costs. Unless you're doing an executory contract.
Cool. We'll get that figured out and
a
message. Okay, cool. So you've been you're a real estate agent for 5 years. Do you still play on that side of the field, or are you solely focusing on investing now?
A little bit. So, you never stop learning in real estate, whether it's the regular real estate or, traditional as a realtor. But in this investor world, in the Subto community that we're in, it's creative finance, right? So you're creatively coming up with a different way to do whatever, depending on the seller's situation, right? So whereas in real estate, there was a basic way to help buyers and a basic way to help sellers. Now in Subto, the reason you're just like feel like a deer in headlights is because there's so many different things to do and so many different ways to do it. It's just like definitely challenging your brain. That's for sure.
Do you feel like creative finance has amplified your role as a real estate agent?
Yes, and I'm still trying to kind of figure that out. So I've been here, there's the whole unicorn agent thing.
Yeah.
So unicorn agents are open to, they have an open mind when it comes to creative finance, but you still got to kind of figure out how to marry the two.
Right.
So, still trying to figure that out. At one point, Pace was saying, join my wife's team, Laura Morby in EXP. She must have been getting like thousands.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's just like, hey, stop it. Yeah. And he was like, guys, stop going to my wife. She's not in Subto. I pick up little stuff like that. That was hilarious. But so I'm still figuring that out. But the great thing about this community is it's continuously growing and you continue to make contacts. And I'm actually kind of partnered up with a mother-daughter team locally. And by partnered up, I mean, they're like helping me kind of find my way with certain things. And they're actually teaching me slowly but surely how to kind of marry the realtor side of things with, the creative finance way of doing things.
Are you generating leads by going direct to agents?
Yes, that's actually my main way of doing transactions, or my main way of, I'm doing the agent outreach.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of softwares, the Deal Automator from Jerry Norton. Mm-hmm. And I also use the MLS. And also because I know that joining a team is the way to learn things in real estate. Well, in Subto, I also signed up for, do you ever go to the Shad cold calling Zoom on Wednesdays?
Yeah, I think I've been in there. I don't go often, but I've been in there before.
So yeah, so he has, his business is built out, and he has virtual assistants making calls for him. And if you go on the Shad cold calling Zoom, it's on Wednesdays around noon Eastern time.
Okay.
He'll like show you the platform, show you how it works, and you can actually see. And he lets us listen to sometimes some of the calls that they're making, and he will let Subto students hop on his system and get some practice making calls.
Yeah.
So I've done that. They're actually like a direct to seller type thing.
Oh, okay.
And he's building up this new software. It's an agent outreach software, but it's more like a texting kind of platform. They'll have like a chat bot, get it started, and then you hop in there. And it's not quite ready to be released yet, but I'm kind of helping them test that.
Okay.
So agents are my thing. And, I tried both, and I feel like agents are easier, or what feels better and works better for me personally. You have credibility as an agent. And the good thing about agent outreach is you're also setting up future business. You're making connections.
Yep.
And what else was I going to say? There's also another agent that I was talking to once I pitched creative finance and stuff like that. Even if their clients aren't really open to the idea. There's one recently that I'm like, you know what? If you ever want to find out anything, we call unicorn agents in our community. And if you ever want to see what that looks like, let me know. I'll reach out and we can have a conversation. She's like, oh, unicorn agents. I love that. Like, yeah, I'd love to chat. And then you give them the affiliate link, and then there you go.
Exactly. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I like agents too, is you're building those relationships, not so much about the property that they have, but you're trying to build that relationship and trust with them, so they bring you additional deals. That's the best. Whenever, like, I had an agent the other day that the listing we actually put an offer on, he was like, no, it's not going to work for whatever reason, but I have 2 other listings you can look at, and now we're sending offers on those. So I think the direct agent can be super powerful.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
You're getting business, you're helping the agent sell their listings, you're helping the sellers sell their properties, which is what everybody wants. So everybody wins in that situation. It's like great.
Yeah. What tips do you have for working with agents, talking to agents?
Okay, so I put a whole bunch of those down here. Okay. So the number one thing to remember is, I remember when I was a teenager, which was a little while ago. We're not going to do the math or anything, but I remember when I was a teenager and we'd be driving around in our cars, and one of us started driving, and we're all driving around going to the pool hall or the arcade or whatever. I'm dating myself there. But I remember when we would like go through a stop sign or something and get pulled over, and everybody's like, oh, the police. I'm like, guys, calm down. They're just regular people. Just talk to them. They're just regular people. It's the same thing with agents. They're just regular people.
Yeah.
They have a job to do. And with this massive market change, if you can help them, help their sellers, and you're doing a win-win for everybody involved, then yeah, they're gonna like what you have to say. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, take your time and be understanding of their position. They have fiduciary responsibility to protect their clients, to protect them and kind of assist them. So, when you first call, even if you are an agent yourself, I was going to say, if you're not an agent, they usually have the guard up a little bit, like, this is unusual. Why are you calling me? But even if you are an agent, just, be understanding of their position. Instead of kind of being mechanical, turn it into like, make a friend. Make a friend, because if they don't, if their clients aren't open to a creative finance situation, like we were saying, they can be future resource. You can be a future resource for each other, them for their sellers, you for helping them sell their properties, their clients. So that's the first part. Don't take it personal if they're not open to the idea. A lot of times, I know this is true in real life in pretty much any category. Sometimes you have to plant a seed, and people be like, no, 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 no. And, they'll say no at first, and then a day or two later, they'll be like, you know what? I was thinking about what you said.
Yep.
It kind of made sense.
Yep.
I mean, half the time, at least, people are not going to say yes the first time they hear something, So don't take a no as an automatic no and never follow up. Always follow up. Say, hey, I was just wondering, call back a week or two later and say, hey, I was just wondering if you had time to think about that.
Yep.
You might be surprised. Fortune's in the follow-up. And they're important because they have their clients' trust. So I've been told recently, especially, that, if you let them talk to their clients about creative financing, they don't always understand it as well as you do. They don't always explain it as well as you do. So if they come back and they say, I talk to my clients, they're not really open to that. They kind of don't take that as a no either. Because, okay, well, what were their objections? Kind of address their objections, because they may not have explained it properly. But I've been told that a lot of times when you go ahead and get all of them on a Zoom or a phone call together, and they hear it coming from you and you explain it, that changes a lot of sellers' opinions when you're able to talk to them and the sellers all at once.
Yeah.
I've heard that like 9 times out of 10, that's what helps move things forward. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Getting them on the phone. I think the thing is that they really don't understand. And even if you explain it to them, they might not go to their client and explain it the same way that you do, or they might twist it into their own understanding, right? Like, I think a lot of realtors just think it's scammy because they were never taught it. It just sounds weird when you hear it at first, like, take over my client's mortgage. Why would you want to do that, right? So when you can tell the seller the benefits directly and approach it as it is a good thing and it's beneficial to everyone, I think that completely changes the narrative around it.
Mm-hmm. And if you think about it, the first time you tried to explain creative finance, once you joined Subto, you didn't do a great job, right? Well, they're kind of in the same exact boat, and they're not even a Subto member yet. So exactly, if you had to kind of, pitch it to them for the first time, they're usually not going to do such a great job explaining it.
Yeah,
so a lot of them don't really fully understand.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have any? So I think one of the things with agents is they get so many calls like this now that, I have agents tell me every day, you're the 10th person to call on this and try to offer this.
Really? Where are you calling? I think it matters where you're calling. Because I think maybe once or twice I've gotten, oh yeah, I know what that is. But most people don't, where I'm calling.
Interesting. So we're calling all over Texas, Georgia, Carolinas, Florida. So like main markets, right? Where everyone is wanting to target. So at this point, I think a lot of agents at least think they know what it is. A lot of them have wrong representations of what it is, but they think they know what it is. They're getting a million calls. I think the issue is that a lot of people don't explain it right or say something wrong, and that automatically just puts a bad taste in the realtor's mouth from there on out about it. So in my opinion, the biggest thing is like gaining their trust and showing that you are competent and that you are a reliable buyer. Do you have any tips on talking to the realtors and making them trust you, or just showing that you're a credible buyer in general?
I would say be personable, and be like friendly, make a friend with them, because the connection is the most important thing. That's really the most important thing. Like if you just call and you're like, mechanical. Another thing about realtors, a lot of people don't realize is, not so much lately, but a lot of times realtors are in a rush. So you don't want to be like super, super fast, but you don't want to take a real long time either. If you kind of try to find a happy medium between the two, you're showing them that you respect their time, you know, and you make a connection with them first, because if it's not this one, you want them to do deals with you in the future. If they're in a super, super rush and they really don't have time, so they look, I really want to respect your time. Just let me know what's a good time when you just have like 3 to 5 minutes to have a discussion. Because I just want to make sure that, you are able to explain this, and your clients, are really happy when you bring this to them,
Right.
So just,
I agree.
yeah. Like I learned something like years ago when I was very young and just brand new married and starting the whole family thing. I was a secretary, and I learned doing that and doing like emails and correspondence and letters and this and that. One of the best things I ever learned, and I use it to this day when I'm talking to somebody, when I'm texting somebody, when I've had a lot of jobs in sales. You always want to think of your audience. Like, how can I say this that they'll be happy to be reading it, or that'll make them happy when they read it, or make them happy when they hear it? Always, always, always think of your audience. So, like, putting those two together, when you're talking to an agent, put yourself in the agent's shoes. Say, listen, I know you're probably super busy, and I know you've got lots of important things to do. Just wanted to make sure that, I explained this right. Then that's kind of like, oh, they respect my time. Oh, they care,
Yeah.
So how they can explain it to their clients the right way.
Yeah. Sending emails, being nice, breaking down, like we send out a letter of intent, and we put a lot of time in changing it, altering it to something where the realtor understands it. So our initial LOI, we could tell that a lot of agents had a hard time understanding what the offer was. So I think it's important to break down Subto or seller finance, whatever the offer is, into terms that a realtor or just a person that doesn't know that off the bat would understand.
Mm-hmm.
And just being nice, being personable. I like that a lot. Just you don't have to act like you know all the terminology and be, top tier creative person. Dumb it down to where they feel like you're a person just like them, and you can explain things and you're credible.
Mm-hmm. The Closers Cafe, they do agent outreach all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They're really good to go in and watch and listen to the conversations that they have with agents. That's a really good one to listen to.
Yeah. If you're in Subto, go listen to the Closers Cafe. They are awesome on there. How has creative finance changed the way you think about doing deals?
It's changed a lot. I just want to say one more thing before we move on to this topic. Yeah. When I'm sending out an LOI, and this is just like my style, I don't know if anybody else does this, but feel free to adopt this technique. I usually give them like 3 options on creative finance, and I'll crunch the numbers for them. And then maybe a 4th option of a cash offer. So like, for example, if it's the cash offer, if it's like move-in ready, maybe 75% of ARV, or 3 of the creative finance, I'll say, 30-year term, this much, like if it's seller finance, 30-year term with such and such percent interest at,
Right.
which will equal this. And then in order to make it, attractive, you actually can do the math and say that's an extra 120,000,
Yeah.
with 1% interest. That's an extra 120,000 once all the payments are received. And then do like 2 years. I'm sorry, 2 years, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years is usually the three that I do.
Yeah. I like that a lot. I like that, giving them options and explaining why one route might be better than the other route, because I don't think that, in my experience, when I've talked to agents about offers, I realize that they might not actually read it all, right? Like they'll ask a question that's like plain as day on the LOI. I'm like, okay, you probably didn't go and read all this. So I think laying it out there, because they're not going to take the time to go run those numbers, right? And tell their client that this is a better option. They're probably just going to forward the offer over here, take a look at this, say yes or no. So I think laying it all out plainly, explaining why this is good, why this one's better, whatever, is really, really a good idea. I like that a lot.
Yeah. I kind of came up with that idea, I think, from raising my kids. Like I used to, like, I remember one time my daughter would came in the room. She's like, okay, Mom, I'm ready for school. I'm like, oh, honey, what are you wearing? I'm like, oh, you know what? I think I need to wash those. Come here, and I would pick out 2 outfits for her because she wanted to decide, So I picked out 2 acceptable outfits, and I'm like, okay, which one do you want to choose? Don't give them a choice where there is none.
Yep.
So 2 acceptable ones, and they choose one, and either one is fine, But yeah, so that's kind of where I got the options from.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
So, you were asking what has the transition been like, transitioning from traditional real estate?
Yeah, what's the transition like, and how has creative finance changed the way you think about getting a deal done?
So how does it change in the way I think about getting a deal done? Well, as a realtor, we're always looking out for the buyer or the seller's best interest. I guess it all depends on the deal. There's so many different ways this can go.
Yeah.
It all depends on if you're doing seller finance. Well, obviously seller finance is good because the seller gets to become the bank, and they are getting more for the house by taking payments over time. And it's like getting a regular check in the mail every single month. It's like income. Right.
So maybe just it's just added tools to your tool belt as a real estate agent or as an entrepreneur, just having more options than you did previously.
Yes, more options. There's so many things you can do. It's like the possibilities are endless. And people are even coming up with new things all the time.
Yeah.
Things like the things that'll make the community leader be like, oh, I never thought of that. Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Just whatever works, absolutely. And now they're talking about buying cars and boats and airplanes and RVs with creative finance. I mean, I went to Florida last summer? Yeah, last summer, and discovered Turo then. This was way before I even knew what Subto was. And I was like, my sister and I went down to Florida. I was checking out moving there. And I wanted to rent a car when I went down there. And I don't know how I found Turo, but somehow I found Turo. Rented this gorgeous Mustang convertible GT for very little. I was like, whoa, man, I would have paid double this to rent a Prius or something.
Yeah.
And so I was like already sold on Turo. I was like, wow, that's awesome. That was amazing. And now you can do that with Subject too.
Yeah.
You can get like a small fleet of cars and put them on Turo. There's I had even looked into this at one point before I found Subto again, where people could rent RVs.
Okay.
I was looking at possibly buying RVs and flipping them and then selling them. And then I was like, wait a minute, instead of selling, maybe we can rent them out. And then I found out there's websites and apps and stuff where you can rent RVs. And then fast forward to now, we're talking about it in Subto. I mean, It's like amazing.
It is amazing. Yeah, it just gives you so many different options, and it essentially makes any deal and any asset, you can do anything with it using creative finance.
And the funny thing is that this is not new. This is all the oldest way to do things.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point in time, we used to just buy stuff from each other. First, we used to trade, right? There was the barter system, right? And then we used to just be like, here, I'll just give you some money, or, So then we started buying things from each other. And then at some point in time, the lenders and the bankers said, you know what, we can make a lot of money off of giving people loans. They can't just buy this stuff right away. So, and then that's been going on for generations. So now I feel like we're kind of going back to a new way of doing things, because things have just gotten so out of hand, and this market is a perfect example. And I feel like this is how people can take control back over their own lives and the things that they need and use in daily life, like cars and houses and so on and so forth. So, I mean, and it's how we help each other. I mean, like it's win-win scenario for everybody.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's the biggest plus of creative finance, is it really does create that win-win-win. Mm-hmm. Love it. Well, what do you need the most in your business right now?
Right now, I am looking for people to JV with, and I'm also looking at starting to build a team. JVing is a good way. JVing, for all who's watching that don't know what JV is, it stands for joint venture, which means partnering on somebody for a deal. You could do a deal together, or you could do several deals together, or you could even have like a partnership for a certain exit strategy. Anyway, so, and doing JVing on people with certain transactions is kind of also like interviewing them for potential business partners down the road. You can JV on deals, and then, you know what, we work really good together. Why don't we partner on this or partner on that and build a business around it? So that's kind of what I'm looking for right now. Connections. As
far as the team goes, are you looking for people to call agents, or what are you looking for in regards to a team?
So like, I feel like I want to JV with people on transactions, and, making the connections is first. Then you can JV with people on transactions. And then as you're building your team, like JVing with people on deals will kind of help you see who you can. It's kind of like an interview for a partnership.
Yeah. And it's your system.
Yeah, I'm 3 months in, so I'm not quite at the point where I'm ready to hire VAs or anything like that.
Right.
But, I feel like JVing is the first step. You can't really do this alone. You need somebody to partner with or JV with on your first handful of deals to kind of shadow them and learn the process. Does that make sense?
Are you looking for someone that, say, like, once you have a good lead, are you looking for someone that can close that lead and dispo it? Or what do you feel like you need in regards to a JV?
Probably that. And also, like, what next steps are once you get it under contract.
Yeah.
Like getting it under contract, from contract to close.
Right.
I've heard, we have transaction coordinators and things like that, but this is like different than a normal traditional. And even in the traditional way of doing real estate, I've hired transaction coordinators for, from a realtor standpoint, and just been like, oh, no, they didn't do this right. Oh, they didn't do that. Oh, they didn't follow up this. And then I have to step in and do it. And So I ended up just doing it myself half the time. But
Yeah.
so, with this being kind of like I don't want to say it's a new thing, but with creative finance being reintroduced in a massive way, there's a whole different special type of transaction coordinators that are needed. And there's lots of them in the community.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one of the biggest reasons why PACE is putting together with Molly this whole top tier transaction coordinating, because there are people that'll be trained in it and stuff.
Yeah.
That's like everybody's concentrating on getting everything under contract at first, but you got to kind of have your buyer in place before you go do that. You got to have, or your buyer, your lender is what I really mean, like your lender or whatever in place. You got to have your transaction coordinators ready to go. So yeah,
just having that system behind you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Are you solely lead? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, and have somebody show you the system.
Yeah, someone experienced. Yeah. Are you solely calling agents in Maryland right now? Is that your main market?
Well, I'm talking to agents in, I think it's Wisconsin when I'm on Shad's team there. And yeah, I'm calling agents in Maryland here. And I think those are the two main areas. Yeah, like Maryland and sometimes Virginia, but mostly Maryland.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, sounds good. If anyone is in those areas and like to squat up with Shanna, I put her Instagram here. Go follow her, connect with her. She's an agent, investor. Has a lot of knowledge and can help you out and do some deals with you.
Mm-hmm. Message me. I'm not that big on Instagram yet. Like that's a good people thing. So if you really want to reach out to me, like reach out to me on Facebook Messenger. It might take me a little bit to even see that, but yeah. If you're in Subto, you can get me on Discord. You can I'm on the Zooms here and there. And if it's okay, I can put my Calendly link in here if anybody wants to schedule.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I guess I click on, what is this? If it's comments right there.
Yeah, if you post a comment, it'll go live on YouTube.
Okay, sounds good. All right, look, guys, tomorrow I'm having surgery, and the day after that I might not be with it. Like,
give her some time.
I don't get like 100 schedules because I made this link up and then I put it in the Subto Facebook group, and then I put it on Discord, and I got booked out for like a week and a half, and I'm like,
you're like, oh, wasn't ready for that.
Right, there's like, yeah, you don't realize how many people see. Right. So putting my Calendly link here. So if anybody wants to squat up or just have, I'm sorry, I'm new to this, so I'm still figuring this out.
Did you record a video and link it to your Calendly and all that?
I did. Yes. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, where's the paste? Copy link. Right. So why is it not letting me paste in here?
You should
Cast. So I'm right clicking on it. No, that's not right. Okay. Can I send it to you and you put it in there? I don't know why I can't do it.
Yeah, text it to me. I'll put it in here.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm doing it from my computer. Look, I'm a Gen Xer, so I did not grow up with the internet. So I can figure things out. It just takes me a little bit longer, So I'm on my computer. I have a disconnect with the phone and the computer. I feel like when I'm on the same application on my phone, it feels like a completely different application than when the same application is on my PC. You know what I mean? Okay.
We'll give you a break.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Why are you not in here? Oh, because I'm sending it to you from a different email. That's why. Okay. All right. So here is the link. All right.
Did you email it to me?
Oh, you know what? I didn't hit connect. I wonder if that's why. Connect to comment. See what I mean?
I can't see that on my end, but
Okay. And you know what? There we go.
there we go.
There it is.
You guys want to connect with Shanna? Go schedule a meeting. She is full of information. I'll be happy to chat with you. Shanna, anything else you want to add before we hop off?
No, can't think of anything.
Well, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciated it. It was great hearing all your story and all the knowledge you have.
You're so welcome.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.